Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Appreciate everybody being here at our May 14th, 2024 Madison County Fiscal Court meeting. This is a regular scheduled meeting here at 304 Chestnut Street in Berea. I want to thank our Berea Mayor and Berea Council for allowing us to use their space. Some of them are here today, and so we appreciate you all being here. This time I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Combs?
Here.
Master Lockmuller?
Here.
Master Hughes?
Here.
Master Bakken?
Present.
Judge Taylor?
Here. At this time, I'm going to invite Magistrate Billy Ray Hughes from the 3rd District to lead us in a word of prayer.
Okay. Let's pray. Lord, we just thank you for this privilege to come out today, and we just thank you for this great country and the freedom that we have and enjoy, and just the way you've blessed us. And Lord, we ask that you would bless our community here. I thank you for these fellow elected officials here that have been called to serve, and I just thank you for all the other workers and helpers we have in this county. I just thank you for the privilege of being able to serve here, and Lord, we ask you to just bless this meeting to follow, that it would be pleasing to thee, and that you would guide us and help us to make the right decisions. We ask you to forgive us where we failed thee, and in Jesus' name I pray, and all God's people said,
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Billy Ray. Next, the pledge, Sheriff, if you will.
Farewell, please stand, face your flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you, Sheriff. Members of the court, y'all have had a chance to look over our previous meeting minutes. We do have two different sets of minutes that we need to approve today. One was from our regular scheduled fiscal court meeting back on April the 23rd, 2024. I need a motion and a second to approve, please.
so move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Bakken?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. The next set of minutes that we need to approve was from our May 7th special call work session. Again, May 7th special call work session. I need a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Abstain.
Master Bakken?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. All right, our treasurer's report will be at our next fiscal court meeting. You all should have on Dropbox the distribution of the sheriff's quarterly financial report. I would encourage y'all to look over this. I know the finance staff and the sheriff's office, we worked pretty hard on, sort of creating a way that we can really look at their finances and dive a little deeper, have some different spreadsheets. So this is kind of the first run at it since Mary Margaret and them have gotten used to the fiscal software. So please look over that, and anything y'all have questions on, please let us know. And I was able to look over it this morning, and it looks really good. So
Sheriff, we appreciate that.
Yep. First order of business today is a legislative update. Our friend and state representative of the 91st District is here with us today. Bill, if you want, come up here next to Steve there at that podium, and Mike, and give us a legislative update. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you reaching out to us and wanting to come see the fiscal court and elected officials of Madison County.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Want to apologize, Judge, and all of you. I believe I was supposed to be in here last month, but I had surgery on my legs, and it's been a struggle.
Yeah.
And it's a new thing in my life, trying to get out and during this time of campaigning and get out meeting people and trying to walk.
Yeah.
So it's been new. But anyways, I got some stuff I'd like to share with you. I want to thank our sheriff and his team for trying to head up a bill that we tried to push through. I think it's very needed. I believe it was House Bill 79. And what that was, if you don't speak or read English, we believe you don't deserve a Kentucky State driver's license. That would have done a lot of things. One was the safety of our officers in our sheriff's department. If they're out 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you don't know who's in the vehicle, and you don't know basically this person. And so we're trying to stop up some vetting problems and some voting problems we have here in the nation and our state. And so I appreciate the sheriff and his team. Just over the couple years, we've done House Bill 115, which was dealing with our canine units. So I appreciate all of our law enforcement and all of you guys, what you do. But anyways, real quick, I'll get out of the way. For EKU, which I try to support our local college, appreciate Dr. McFadden, what he does. This is one of the programs I'm fond of. We got this going over in Estill County, which is an aviation program. But here at Eastern, we want to give $12.5 million in the year 25, and another 12.5, which is going to be $25 million for 25 and 26 to head this aviation program. Also, we're going to give an additional $5 million in the year 25 for the House Eastern House program. So, but for your roads, I'm glad that I'm able to do this. A lot of the magistrates reached out to me about some of the road issues you got here in Madison County. We got $5 million coming in 25 and $7.5 million in 26 to construct new I-75 interchange between the Berea and Richmond exit. 1.6 million in 25 and 14.5 million in 26 for the improvements of Catalyst Road, John Ballard Road, and the new bridge that's coming over Silver Creek. 1.4 million for 25 and 2.9 million for 26 to address the condition of 75. 1.3 million in this year. 1 million in 25 to extend Boggs Lane and to connect a Pavilion Way. 1.1 million in the year 26 to widen Kentucky 374. 1.5 million in year 24 and 1.6 to extend Menelaus Road to Maid Road. I probably chopped that all to pieces.
That's all right. I know what you're talking about.
All right.
Manlius and Mady. Yeah.
150,000 in 24 in to do an urban study on Goggins Lane, and Tate's Creek, Crutcher Pike, and Barnes Mill Road. So we're going to be doing some projects over there in the near future. 1.7 million in 25 to improve the capacity of Barnes Mill Road. And what we're trying to do, we've been having meetings since I'm on the Transportation Committee. We see the growth that's coming to Madison County. And so we're proud to be part of that. And if there's anything I could do addition to put in for any roads this coming year, please let me know. Got a couple more, and I'll get out of the way, Judge. 1.7 million in 25 to improve the capacity of Barnes Mill Road between Goggins Lane and I-75. 2.2 million is a new construction that we're getting ready to go with. It's of exit 87. And then 460,000 in 25 and 350,000 year 26 to improve the congestion problem we having over on Goggins Lane. So we're going to be doing a lot of things over in that neck of the woods.
Yeah.
So any questions or anything you'd like to say?
Bill, we don't mind if you don't know the name of the roads, just send the money in.
That's all right, yeah.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
I cut that one all to pieces. But I want to also think of the leadership that you guys have here, that you guys come up and visiting the Capitol, always fighting for Madison County.
Yeah.
Because we notice that. We notice the people that comes on board, who shows up at our door and asking for things. So I wanted all of you to know that your leadership here is always up there fighting for the good things that we're getting here in Madison County. Because to be honest, half the stuff that I read would not be pushed through if it wasn't for all of you.
Yeah. It's good.
We appreciate you coming down, Bill. Those, about 3/4 of those roads that you mentioned are in the 4th district. And I can tell you that we appreciate that. The Barnes Mill project, that's gonna be a good one. All that area with the new park going in over there off of Goggins. I mean, that's just, right now, it's just a mess as it is. And so we appreciate anything that makes that better. And, Menless and the Mady, area is the same thing. I know the Mady's in the city of Berea, but all that's in the 4th district, and we certainly appreciate that work as well. So you've done a lot of good things for us. We don't forget that, so we appreciate you.
Appreciate you. I would like to say that I'm on the Taiwan caucus. That's not China. It's not China. A lot of people gets that mixed up, but they are wanting to partner with people in Eastern Kentucky. And I would really encourage you guys to think about this, inviting them to come to invest more in Madison County because they're wanting to launch out and do a lot of new projects, and that means more jobs for us. And so they do want to extend their hand to all of us, and so if I can be the one to relay a message to them, I would be glad to do that.
Yep. Sounds good. Anyone else?
Bill, we just appreciate the fact that you've historically just had one precinct in Madison County, but you've not made a difference as far as serving the county, and we appreciate that very
I
much.
appreciate that.
Used,
I wanna-
used to have Waco County, but now,
Yeah, amen.
No.
I want to serve Kentucky. Most of all, I want to serve the Lord.
yeah,
Amen.
amen.
Make an impact on, regardless if it's kids or elderly, it doesn't matter. So I don't just represent a part of Madison. I want to represent all of Madison and do the best I can for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bill.
all so much.
Appreciate it, Bill.
You guys have a good day.
Appreciate you a lot. Next on our agenda today is a joint local government 911 fee presentation update. We have Jill and Chris and Wendy here with us today that are going to be tag teaming a PowerPoint presentation. Tony, if you wouldn't mind, maybe work our lights over there if you don't care, just to make sure everybody can see this. And so I'll turn it over to them to be able to present to us today. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, Judge Taylor, and thanks Fiscal Court for allowing us to do this. This has been a labor of love for a lot of people and a lot of members of our first responder community here in Madison County. As the Fiscal Court well knows, they have also put a lot of time and energy to make sure that we do this in what's best for our citizenry, and I think that's what we want to always do. I think the other part of this is ensuring that the people of Madison County know that we've turned over every rock and looked at every possibility as we move forward and what's to come for the future of 911. Just a little bit of a recap, and I know I have some members of the Berea City Council and Mayor Fraley here today, so thank you all for
Snuck
joining
in
us.
on me. I didn't know you was back
I
here.
think that we have some members of the City of Richmond and their commissioners that are probably watching online as well, so we appreciate them and the efforts that they've already taken back in April to pass resolutions asking the county to enact a 911 fee. Since that time, there was just so everyone remembers, there was a task force by all three local governments established back in last fall in November, and so they worked to put together a resolution and a recommendation that would go before all three governments, which did so at the end of March. And since that time, then you had the Berea City Council. They passed their resolution in April, as did the City of Richmond, asking us to move forward. Since that time, the Fiscal Court has then had 2 work sessions to really dive in a little bit more. And so as a result of those work sessions and all of that work that's been done, this is kind of the culmination of that. So that all being said, we'll kind of walk through some kind of a little bit of the history of where we've been and then where we are and then where we're at this point. So I'll turn it over to Wendy, who will talk a little bit about the evolution of 911. And I'm grateful that we have people like Wendy and Chris who have been here through a lot of that evolution, because it's very interesting as you look at how far we've come in the last couple of years. So Wendy,
Okay, just a brief overview, and I know I've given several presentations to all the governments over the past few months, so if you have any questions that need to be answered, I'll try to keep it brief so I could talk about 911 all day. So, of course, the joint 911 center we have now was established in 2008. That includes the City of Berea, the City of Richmond, and Madison County. So what that means is all entities are dispatched from one location, and all those calls come into one certified public safety answering point, which is PSAP, a certified PSAP that we are. Of course, 911's mission overall for everybody that visits, lives here, needs us, is to get the right responder to the right location at the right time. And just some projected goals moving forward, and there's several more, but just to hit the highlights, is implementing text to 911. We do have the ability now, if you call in and disconnect, we can text you back, but we would like the ability that if you needed to text in, that you could, and that's something that we've put in for a grant that hopefully we'll hear about in June, and that will be something we'll be doing moving forward. A big thing for us is in the upcoming years is to focus on employee recruitment and retention strategies. There is a lot of turnover nationwide in the 911 profession, and it is because of all the technology and the evolution and how things have changed. We're no longer just answering a phone and writing some information down and just sending a unit out. It's a lot more complex than that now. You have GPS locations, you're doing more GPS and mapping, and you're using several resources to get those calls and those responders, and trying to do closest unit dispatch, watching body cams and seeing where your units are. So it is a lot, and it's a lot to take in one central area. So, and then we would like to implement an employee leader academy within our own agency, and then we are still working on our APCO project, P33 training accreditation, and that's a national training accreditation. The evolution, of course, 911 was established by the 3 local governments here in 1990, and they implemented a fee at that time. That brought in $996 annually. And then in 2008 is whenever we done the first merger of the county and Berea. And then in 2010, which isn't on here, but 2010 is when the city of Richmond joined, and we were all together. And at that point, we done like $42 annually, so it's $3.50 per landline. And that's how we were funding the center, which was sustainable back in 2008 when everyone had landlines. And now here we are in 2024, where the landline fee is still $42 annually. We haven't taken that up since 2008, but those have drastically reduced. So there's a lot less there. So that's just kind of where we've been.
Can I ask just to people in here in this room real quick, how many people in here have a landline phone? So,
All of us old guys.
Thank you.
so we got 5. Yeah. So in this room right here, so we've only got 5 that have a landline.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Yours was
thank you.
probably dictated by somebody you live with.
Yeah, so as you can see with our next slide, the future post CSEP of 911, it's just a lot of things coming together. We've known over time since everything started in 2008, and those went up. 2010 we were doing well, and then after that we started drastically reducing. So those fees are no longer sufficient. Cell phone funding, that is great. It does help. However, once the money is received by the state, they take out their portion and then a portion to allow everyone to competitively compete for grants. It's not a lot of funding. I think we're finally up a little over 300,000, but that doesn't touch even a portion of salary or training. So, and 87% of our calls come from that. The cell phone is nothing that we can do. There's nothing that the governments can do to implement more on the cell phone. That's at a lot larger level than us. So with that all coming to tuition, and we've been looking at that over years. I've been on several task force since early in my career. We started talking about it again 2008, 2015. I mean, we have all these great task force, but we also knew CSEP was going to come to an end. So we were very fortunate while ours was declining back in 2017, 2018. Other counties have already implemented these fees like what we're looking at now, but we were fortunate to have CSEP, so we didn't have to dig in at that time and put that extra bit on the citizens because we had CSEP. And with that coming to an end, that's where our costs are. So the infrastructure and those kind of things. So it's all kind of tying in together. And again, we're fortunate that CSEP is here and could do some of the things they've done with the infrastructure that they have built for not only 911, but all the first responders and public safety entities for all the governments. And it's just very helpful, and it gives us a really good understanding of what funds we actually need. Because again, we could have implemented a fee in 2018, but if we had to take over the radio infrastructure, that 2018 fee, we would be here again asking for more money. And it would have been a bigger burden on the citizens.
I want to bring up a point, something just hit me on these cell phones. So cell phones is a small revenue already,
Yes.
but between, I guess, like Berea College and EKU, we've probably got 16,000 people here that are more than likely on their parents' plan.
Yes. That is not tied back to.
That does not tie back to Madison County, because
It's by zip code for your cell phone bill.
it's by zip code for your cell phone bill.
Yeah. That's
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, and then next, kind of some of the things that we have done, and it's not just me, it's countywide, and it's things that we have been involved in just because we do have the staffing and some of the training. And before they went live with the ammunition disposals. We used to be the 24/7 backup, so we have a lot of training and things in those areas. Then they went to a full 24/7 staff. So that took some of the burden off 911, and they had EOC techs to do that. But as we're transitioning and everyone knows their jobs are, coming to an end, CSEP's leaving, so they're trying to go on and get other jobs. So rather than filling those with temporary positions to just pay that wage, we're taking on some of those extra roles in 911 and using some of that to transition the staffing. There was a huge radio system update that took place in 2023, and all of that went live countywide March 26th. And then the notification systems, using that funding to update all of the notification systems, which would be your sirens, your Alert FM, your rave, community alerts, and different things like that. And then also just the joint government charter for the task force, which started in November of 23, and we are where we are now with that. So.
You can turn it over.
I'm going to turn it over to Chris and let him talk about some of the stuff he's been doing and helping out with.
Oh, great. Now we get into the nuts and bolts of it, right? This is the part everybody's probably mostly interested in. So the task force was formed, right? The goal was to figure out right sizing. What does this look like in a post-CSEP world? What do we need? We've had all these great tools at our resources at our fingertips for 30 or 35 years, paid for by the federal government, right? What do you do in a post-CSEP world to make sure you can afford those things? As Wendy mentioned, the county has been very proactive since 2015 to make sure that projects that are coming down the pipeline from the CSEP funding are sized appropriately for us, making sure that we can afford these things in a post-CSEP world. The radio system is by far the biggest cost besides personnel to 911. So when that system was implemented this time around, which she said just went live in March, we made sure that that system was sized correctly for this community. It's not a Cadillac. It's not this big fancy system. It's exactly what we need at the time we need it. So that has been done. We looked at the siren system as well. What can be done in that system to make sure that we're not overpaying for things we don't need? CSEP has a motto, which is maximum protection. So when things were put in here underneath the role of CSEP, maximum protection money was really not an object. So what they require is multiple alert and warning points in multiple places. In a post-CSEP world, we don't require that. So we looked at the siren system. What are things you can do to reduce that cost? We went from 96 sirens down to about 72 sirens. And then in a post-CSEP world, we can reduce that number just a little bit as well. Probably lose another 10 to 12, something like that. We have DASDEC systems. Those are the systems that go in and actually alert you on your phone and interrupt TV broadcast. We could do that in 2 different ways today with CSEP funding. Obviously, we don't want to do it 2 different ways in a post-CSEP world, right? We want to do it one way, so we'll combine our existing systems to reduce those costs. So the task force that was formed looked at all those things, took a deep dive at the budget. What are those things that we need as public safety leaders and other members of the community? And what can we afford, right? So we're streamlining. We've updated this system. We have waited intentionally as long as we could possibly wait. I think we've probably waited, I don't know, probably too long maybe. We wanted that radio system going live at the last possible moment it can, and it did. In March of 2024, that new radio system that was paid for, $22 million was budgeted to replace that system, so keep that number in mind. That was all paid for by CSEP. $22 million is what that cost. We streamlined it to make sure it's exactly what we need. That system came online right here as CSEP is getting ready to leave. So you're going to get that 15 to 20 year lifespan for the maximum we could pass post-CSEP. Some of the other things, we talk about right sizing. The budget is probably important to folks. What does it look like? How do we get there? And what does this thing cost? And why are you asking for more money, right? The workforce, dispatchers, this is their salaries, benefits, overtime, everything you can think of, insurance, those kinds of things cost over $2 million. Again, it's one of the biggest expenses to 911 that we have. And that's to everybody, right? Your people are your most expensive and your most valuable. The radio infrastructure, this radio system cost almost $900,000 a year to maintain. So when people say, I can't believe it costs this much to operate, right there, the most important system that our first responders use on a daily basis is that radio system. And dispatchers, that's how they communicate to these folks. That's how they can protect their life as they're entering dangerous situations, right? This radio system is core to their operation, and it is expensive. You got to have yearly tower inspections. There's 5, 10, 15, and 20-year equipment that we have to replace on those cycles. All of that is built into this. You got cybersecurity of the system. You got physical security. You got generators at every site. When you start looking at the radio system, it is by far the biggest cost besides personnel that we have. Moving down into operations, you got utilities. Today, 911 lives in a building with CSEP, so a lot of those costs for facilities are covered by CSEP. They're not paid for by 911. They do pay some cost, a portion of it, but not a lot of it. In a post-CSEP world, every square inch they occupy, they're going to have to pay for. Utilities, water, sewer, bugs, elevator alarms, fire alarms, you name it. All those things have been paid for are now going to have to be paid for by the 911 center themselves. Some other things that are in there, the insurance on the building, the insurance on all the equipment, the consoles, the desks, the furnitures, public relations, all these things that have been paid for in some portion by CSEP over the last 30 years are now going to fall to the citizens and to the county. The other thing we got to really look at is capital life cycle replacement. What does that mean? That means in 15 years, we already know the radio system has a lifespan of 15 to 20 years, right? When we get to year 15, we don't want to come back and have to ask the governments or the citizens for a lump sum of money, another 14, 15, 20 million, whatever that system may cost us in 15 or 20 years. So what we did is made the recommendation that $675,000 be put into a capital life cycle replacement plan. And assuming a 3% interest is gained on that year over year for those 15 to 20 years, it will bring in somewhere between $13 million. That'll be sufficient to replace the network infrastructure. Because this 911 fee money is dictated by KRS of what you can and cannot spend it on, right? And it is very detailed. And it's probably the only KRS we've seen that actually says what you cannot do. This is Kenny Barger's favorite thing. The law doesn't tell you what you can't do, it tells you what you can do, right? This actually has in there what you cannot do. So it is very specific, and it is 911 only. It can only pay for things that are actually directly related to dispatching public safety. So that is very, very important to remember as we go through this. How does this look related to everybody else? Why is yours so high? Is it high? Is it low? I don't know. Well, how do you find out? You have to go look at your regional areas and compare what actually is out there, right? So we dove in. It's very, very hard. If you're going to go do this yourself and try to do some homework and figure out how 911 is funded in some of these communities, is very difficult because a lot of times they partner together, just like us, right? Before this, Richmond and Berea are all funding this. You go to some of these counties in Boone County and Kenton County and Campbell County, well, they all own a portion of the radio system, but they still dispatch for each other. But it falls under this department, or this is paid for under this budget. It's not like in Madison County when you go onto our website and pull up a budget, there's a 911 fund and you can see every revenue dollar and every expense dollar that's spent to our budget. It's very transparent. I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose, it's just the complexity of it. So we spent a lot of time trying to figure out exactly what other communities are spending and what this looks like. So we'll start with Kenton County. Kenton County was the model that the task force basically used to model this whole fee structure around. Their budget is $11.4 million, okay? Our projected budget is $4.7 million. So let's keep that in mind as we kind of move through this. Kenton County is $11 million. They charge a $70 per parcel fee as long as it's occupied. So if you've got a house and a mobile home on there, you're gonna get $70 for the house, $70 for the mobile home. If you've got, 16 plex of apartments, you can pay $70 for each one of them, right? That's how they fund theirs. Owensboro and Davis County, again, one of those that's kind of in the middle of, they do some things together and some people own the radio system, but the Davis County and Owensboro Dispatch Center, their budget is $3.6 million, and they're funded by a landline fee at this moment. Look into Jessamine County, $2.6 million. They're charging $2.25 per landline and a $4.75 fee monthly on a water bill. Go to Boone County, $8.8 million is what they spend to operate their dispatch center. Now again, this is dispatch only. This is not fire, this is not police, this is not emergency management. This is dispatch only, the dispatch system itself. They charge a $75 parcel fee for every parcel in the county to fund their system. Hardin County, if you look at this, they're charging $46.75 per parcel to bring in their $2.8 million to fund their system, but it includes no radio infrastructure. And I told you, the second most expensive next to people is that equipment. So if you were to add, I'm not going to make any guesstimates, but if you added whatever their radio system's being paid for in some fashion, it's going to raise that number over $3 million. Look into the city of Georgetown, their folks are paying $8 per month, and it does not include the radio infrastructure. And again, that's one of those complicated scenarios where Scott County and city of Georgetown are combined in some aspects with radio, but then the city takes care of dispatch, so it's very hard to find out exactly what they are. But when you look through all this data that was provided by the 911 board from the state, the $4.7 million is actually not that high, right? When you start comparing it to 8 million, 11 million, 3.6 million smaller communities. So what does that look like per population? Look into Boone County, $8.8 million, they have 139,000 citizens. That basically means that every citizen is paying somewhere about $63 per person. Davis County, again, includes no radio infrastructure with a $3.6 million budget. They have 103,000 people. They're paying $34 per person. If you add in their radio infrastructure, that number will rise. Hardin County is the same way. No radio infrastructure, $2.8 million to fund 911 with 111,000 citizens is $25 per capita. Getting down into Jessamine County, their $2.6 million budget with 54,000 citizens is funded by $49.20 per person. Kenton County, their $11 million budget with 170,000 people is $66.95. And we'll get into Madison County. Our projected $4.7 million budget with 95,000 citizens would cost the average citizen $49.43 per capita. And Shelby County was a late add. We finally got all their information there. Again, they don't have any radio infrastructure built into this budget number. 2.2 million, they have 48,000 folks. So basically $46 per capita.
Now, Chris, when it says no radio infrastructure, it doesn't mean that they have radio infrastructure.
It's not
It's
included
just,
in their budget.
it's not included in their budget. There's some other, they're funding it through the general fund, or they're funding it some other way, right?
Yep, it is put somewhere where we can't find it.
Yeah.
Either intentionally or unintentionally. Sometimes those fall under sheriff's office, or they fall under police departments, or sometimes even fire departments. Just kind of depends on where they're at. This is me too. Yay. The trend. So you can see there in 2020, the numbers, it's about 128,000. That number is really small. This is total calls for service. So when we talk about calls, this is not every time a telephone rings in 911, right? This is every time somebody or a service is dispatched to somebody. So 128,000. It kind of dropped down there post-COVID when people were not out and about much. They were all mostly home. 124,000? And then 2022, it started to rise. And then you can see the pretty big jump into 2023 at 138,000. All we can really contribute that to is that people are on the move again. People are out and about. People are getting back to their regular ways. And that number's not going to go down. It's going to continue to grow. Our call center or dispatch center is multidisciplinary. That means that person sitting at the desk may answer the phone, and they're dispatching people, and they're dealing with folks that are actually doing work. So you got a headset on, you're answering the phone saying 911, what's your emergency? You're answering and saying, no ma'am, that's the wrong building, or you're dispatching pre-arrivals to a hospital for an ambulance, or you may be dealing with somebody getting shot at, right? All of these things that these folks are dealing with, our team, when they're sitting at that desk, are dealing with every bit of that by themselves. When you get into much larger centers than ours, you may have call takers that are only answering calls, and then you have dispatchers that are only dealing with just dispatching folks and dealing with the radio traffic back and forth that it's speaking about. So our people are very talented. The job is very stressful for them, trying to keep up with that, and you don't unhear those things that you hear, right? When you're working that 12-hour shift and you're dealing with people in their worst moments, right? So we got to kind of keep that in mind. This trend of the call data is going to continuously move up the more and more people move. So it's very important, we felt like in the fiscal court and the task force, that we look at this as where are the services being dispatched to? We need to make sure that the people that are paying money are paying for what they're using, right? And how do you do that? You do that by 911 call data. So we went in and pulled all the 911 call data. We put all that data, plotted it on a map, and found out exactly where each of those addresses fell in a category. Were they single family in a farm or residential, a dwelling as we'll call it? Are they multifamily? Are they in an apartment complex? Is it commercial or business where they're going? Is it an industrial factory where we're lining up? Or are we going to city parks and city buildings and those kinds of things? I'll tell you, the task force, when we were looking at it, we didn't have this exact data. We didn't have the time to pull the data. The task force had a pretty tight deadline to present back to the governments to make sure we continue to move to address this issue. After the task force made its recommendation, we could pull this call data and started looking. I'll tell you, I thought the calls would have been multifamily. Where do you have most of your people living? Where do you think most of your issues would happen? Yeah, we all know we spend a lot of time at Walmart, right? I knew that. We all see it when you drive by Walmart. I think Jill's the one that laughs, says, I think I drive by there and I don't ever not see somebody there. I don't know if that's true or not. I hate to have a big brush like that, but a lot of presence when you're at the Walmarts and those kind of things. But the data tells a different story. 48,000 calls, which is 51% of the 911 calls. And remember, when I say calls, this is not hello, hello. This is an interaction with the 911 system. That's talking to an officer, that's dispatching an officer, that's listening and radio checking, or whatever it may be. 51% of that was based around business. Multifamily, only 14.68% of the calls are going to a multifamily property. That's a duplex, a triplex, a 16-plex, 500-plex, is that a word? I don't know if that's actually, whatever it may be, where these people are living in multifamily homes. Your single family and your farms where folks are living, 32% of the calls. And then you get down into industrial, who was only 1.34% of the total calls. So you might ask why that's important. It's important because the folks that are using the service should pay that portion of the budget. So when you talk about this proposed $4.7 million budget to fund 911, 32% of that is $1.288 million. So single family residential or farm folks that dwell on a farm in a parcel should pay 32% of the total $4.7 million. That number is $1.288 million. Multifamily should pay 14%, which is about $581,000. I'm rounding off for just to be quick. Commercial is 51% of it. They're paying the lion's share. That's commercial business is paying $2 million. Industrial, which was a very, very small portion of the calls, as you can see, would only pay $53,000 of the budget. And obviously the public use buildings, we would not charge ourselves. That would be counterproductive. The task force ran into this, and so did the fiscal court when we looked at it. You got these, I'll call them special entities, right? And I need to go back to one thing. Exempt properties, folks that are tax exempt today that do not receive property tax bills, fall into those categories and will pay this fee as well. Nobody is exempt from the 911 fee. So you don't see them listed in there specifically, but they do fall under the commercial portion of that. We treat exempt and business the same. So a church, a Hope's Wings, a God's Outreach, those kinds of folks that are tax exempt would still pay the 911 fee, and they will match it with commercial. What do you do with the EKU? What do you do with Madison County Schools, Berea College, and Berea Community? How do you treat those folks? They're large users of the system at some level. EKU had 1,000 calls, 1%. The idea is to charge them a percentage of the total budget. So EKU was basically 1% of it, $47,000 is the 1%. Madison County Schools is 3.24%. $152,000 would be their payment for their 3,285 interactions. Berea College had 454, or about $21,000, and then Berea Community Schools had 232 calls, which would ask for $10,820. What we're trying to do is to make sure everybody is fairly paying the cost, right? And it's fair to say you should pay it based on the volume of usage. And that's what you see before you in this table, is the budget amount. Now you're gonna ask me, where do we go from here, right? You got this $1.28 million, and I'm only worried about myself, so what does that mean to me as Chris Israel as a homeowner, or whoever it may be, or myself as a business owner, right? What does that mean? So here we're gonna look at it. 911 wireless, we talked about that, right? How the wireless calls are, that money we receive from wireless revenue is really insufficient. It's insufficient statewide. We have it as $450,000 in revenue this year, and it's a guess every year. We always conservatively guess the revenue anyways. You don't know how many people are gonna get new cell phone lines, how many people are gonna get rid of cell phone lines. It's always a guess, but 450 is basically how it is. We contract with the EMS, Madison County EMS Services, to provide them services through the dispatch center. They've always paid in the past. They're paying an enhanced rate because of this. You see that listed there as $60,000. If you take in EKU, the schools, Berea and Community College, of them paying all their portions, we get down to single family and what everybody really cares about today, right? So a single family farm dwelling, the recommendation is to pay by square footage of your home, okay? What does that mean? That's 0.016 per square foot of your residential home. So someone that lives in a mobile home or 1,000 square foot home would pay $16 a year. Move it into multifamily dwellings, they're going to pay by square footage as well. And you can see on this sheet, I don't want to read all of it to you, there's 9 million square feet of multifamily dwellings in Madison County. They'll pay 0.065 per square foot to bring in the $588,000 of their portion of the budget. Exempt properties, we talked about them, 66,000. Occupied business properties, 1.9. You add those together to get us into that $2 million that they would pay together, because we consider them the same. Moving down into industrial properties, you see they'll pay 0.0103 per square foot, which would put them at $53,000, which is their portion of it. And then you're going to move into land only. So we are going to consider a property without a dwelling on it, without a building on it, as land only. And that would pay a flat parcel fee once a year with their property tax bill. A single family or farm would pay $25 for that parcel. You got businesses would pay $47, and land only industrial says $45. It's incorrect. It should be the same, $47. But at this point, there are no land only industrial properties that don't have anything on it that PVA knows about. All of that is subject to change. But so moving on, what does it mean to the citizen? Here's a nice table, right? It'll tell you just. Now remember, you're paying exactly per square footage. This is just rounding off for ease of math. So the bill that you would see on your property tax would be for the square footage that is registered with the Madison County PVA's office. But for math purposes, we consider, and so does a lot of other people, 2,200 square feet is the average home size in Kentucky. So the average citizen will pay somewhere between $32 and $34 a year for 911. Moving into your little bigger homes, 5,000 square foot is where you're getting into 80, 7,000 would be 112. The largest home, single family home that we know about in Madison County is 17,000 square feet. That bill would be somewhere around $230, right? Paid one time in their property bill. Looking into multifamily, this is 2 doors, 2,000 square feet. Essentially, apartment is roughly 1,000 square feet on average. Again, these are not exact. This is just to help you do the math. A duplex would pay $130 per year. Moving into your larger ones, if you have a 64-plex with 64 apartments inside of it, 64,000 square feet basically, they would pay $4,160. Now, you can see on the right-hand side of that column it says task force, right? You got square foot model and task force. The task force, without the call data, applied a flat fee to all residential properties and on to multifamily, but there were caps involved in that. And the caps created inequity because the folks that have 32 apartments are going to pay the same amount as the folks that maybe have 500, right? And that's not fair. That doesn't make much sense. So the square foot model actually brings you down into where everybody's basically paying their fair share at the most reasonable price that we can get it. And I think it was said at the very, very, very beginning. We've turned over every rock. We have done every number 42 times and upside down and switched it left and then thought that's not fair and did something else. I have to say I didn't like the square foot model, but I do now, and I believe in it, and I think it's fair for everybody that's involved. So you can see if you're going to say a 2,200 square foot home in the task force model, they would have paid $75 for that single family home. Under the square footage model that is being proposed, it would be $32. So on average, the Madison County citizen that lives in a 2,200 square foot house will pay $32 for 911. If you had a landline, you'd be paying $42. So when we start talking about this, everybody raised their hand in this room, right? There were only 5 people. So you're trying to fund 911 that everybody uses, but only 5 people were paying for it. That's hard to sustain, right? And then you take out CSEP, who was paying the $1 million a year for the radio system, and they're paying those operations costs inside the building. Now you start to see the problem. You're already operating at a $2.6 million budget. We'll just round up for fun, another $1 million. Now you're at $3.6 million, and now you got to pay for the building you're in. That's how you get the $4.7 million real fast. So that's fair. Move down into those multifamily. That's where we had the caps on the doors. If you were paying for 2, 4, 6, you get to 16, and once you got past 16, you didn't pay any more for those doors until you got to like 32. Well, then when you're paying for 32, the guy that has 50 is paying the same price as 32. That didn't really make much sense. And I'll say, when you do work like this, and you sit in a room and you think and you look at all the data and you make decisions and you're like, yeah, this is rock solid. And it takes one phone call from a citizen that says, wait a minute, I've got a property that I pay X in property taxes for, and my 911 fee is going to be almost as much as my property tax. That's where reality starts to hit the road, right? And you're like, oh, I didn't see how the caps, or we didn't as a task force, really were going to affect people. And you don't see that until you put it into practice, until people actually saw that meeting and started hearing the data and started listening to it, right, as the phone calls started coming in. And that's what started driving us to look to make sure we were really doing it the most efficient way, and we found that we weren't, which is why the square footage model is going to be so successful for us. Moving into a business, if you got a 1,000 square foot business, it's $122. You know, again, you will pay for the square footage that is registered by PVA. These are just numbers to help you. Taking a look at that, a 1,000 square foot business under the task force model would have paid $500. Moving up into those bigger buildings, the 100,000 square foot buildings, they're going to pay $12,000. Now, in the task force, the model was 4 because there was a cap. But the cap, again, created inequities as you get to the Walmarts, the Lowe's, the Kroger's of the world. And then when you move into the next echelon of the NACOs of the world that have 650,000 square feet under the roof, they were getting a severe discount under the task force model. In a square foot, they're going to pay their fair share, just like everybody else. Homeowners are paying their fair share, the businesses are paying it, and it's being paid based on usage, right? Back to that budgetary number. Industrial, since it was such a small portion of the actual total call volume, which translates to the total budget, you can see it there. That's why that cost is really low. 1,000 square foot industrial building will pay $10.30. In the task force model, they would have paid $75. If you look at a 2,000 square foot industrial, they'll pay $2,000. In the task force model, they would have paid $4,800. And you can see on the sheet there, as you jump to 250, 580, 680, you were capped at that 4,800, which is creating that inequity to people. And that's what we're trying to do with the square footage model, is to remove the inequity. Everybody loves the word consumption-based taxing, consumption-based. We buy big houses, we pay a little more for the big house than we would a little house, right? You do that in everything. Your insurance is no different. You're paying based on the value of that house, right? So here you're paying based on the square footage, and these are the options. So I will turn it back over to Ms. Jill.
So that's a lot to take in. It's been a lot for us to take in. It's been a lot for our citizens to take in, but we are not starting on this alone. I did a quick Google search, and this is Google just 911 fee Kentucky, and we have headlines galore that show up and say, this is what's happening around our state. But a lot of this has been happening around our state over the last 5 years. It's not been happening today. Now, I think Pike County is the exception to that. I think they have their fiscal court and their cities have implemented a 911 fee, but over the course of the last 5 years, landlines have decreased. So that means your funding has to increase, right? And so I think that's what we're seeing all across our state. And so we're not at this alone. We've just had the privilege and the benefit of having the federal government to help subsidize, as well as our 3 local governments to help subsidize those fees or those shortfall. So where do we go from here? The proposal, as you all will remember, we had a joint government meeting, and we had both cities have already moved forward. The proposed next step would to adjust our ordinance of the 911 fee ordinance at our next fiscal court meeting, which would be May 28th. We would follow that up with the second reading and public hearing on June 11th. And as part of that, we'd work through the implementation process. One of the proposals, I think the initial proposal from the task force was that this go on the 2024 bill. I think that everybody had some reservation about that. I think the joint government meeting showed that. I think that as elected officials across our county, everyone had some concern about that. So the proposal would be that this will be on the 2025 property tax bill, which comes out in October of 2025. In the meantime, the task force is still at work. They are a great group of leaders in our community that are working to put together the memorandum of understanding and bylaws for this joint dispatch center as we operate it today. That would be part of the implementation process. And then we would continue with the communication plan. I know that every one of you will have liked, shared, and reposted some awesome videos that have gone out there from our first responder chiefs. I think Sheriff Coyles was the most recent. And all 3 governments have been sharing that to kind of set the stage and help people understand that this is what 911 does. This is what CSEP has done for us. But we would continue those communications with a direct mail piece and a letter that goes to every property owner with the square footage information to property owners, so they have time to plan. I think that came up in the joint meeting as well, that, hey, we want our citizens, and we want our businesses, and we want our industry, and we want our nonprofits. We want them to have time to plan, and to budget for something that may not have been prepared for. And so we're gonna give them like 18 months to do that. So they have time to implement that into your family budget, whether you're paying $16 or whether you're a large business that's paying $12,000, that you've got time to prepare and plan for that. And so working with the PVA on all of this data, we would send a letter to every owner saying, hey, here's what we have as your square footage. And so here's the process. If you don't think this is correct, you let us know. Here's an appeal form, and you say, hey, I think I've got 3,500 square feet, and you only said I had 2,500. Now, I'm not sure too many citizens would report the underage, but maybe I'm wrong. But they would have an opportunity to do that and kind of work through that process and prepare for the future. As I said, the appeal process, this would give citizens the opportunity, if you had a parcel that maybe was unidentified, or the square footage was wrong, or it was part of where you live, and it was adjacent and contiguous to where you live. It wasn't across the road or something of that nature. We'd give you the opportunity to make sure that we clean up that data before you actually get that property tax bill, to ensure that all of the information is accurate. So that is our plan. I think that at this point, I don't know if you have any questions for Chris or Wendy or I, and next steps and moving forward. I haven't looked at the social media, but I'm sure there's some comments on there at some point. So we're opening it up for questions.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate the update. The report is great. It's fantastic PowerPoint. Members of the court, do y'all have any questions, suggestions? Have a little discussion about our next steps that is being recommended.
The only thing that I would say, Judge, is just a great appreciation for all the work that you guys have done, and the task force up to this point, and being willing to take the concerns that all of us have had about the inequities, and looking at that. I know that took a lot of time to get in those numbers and to find out things, but I think it was worth it. I think at the end of the day, we didn't want the citizens to be overburdened by this fee, and that's what it is. It's a fee. It's not a tax. And the statute itself says that it's a fee, and it's based on consumption, and that's the way it should be. And I wish every tax was set up this way. You pay based on what you use. We could have went along the lines of creating a taxing district, but that would not have been a good thing. I don't like those ideas. You end up with people who are not elected and create taxes on people with no accountability, and that's a bad idea. So I think this is the fairest way to do it. Nobody up here wants to do it. We would gladly let the federal government continue to pay for it and would welcome that. And if there's somebody out there listening, Congressman Barr, Senator Paul, Senator McConnell, those folks, if you all want to pay for it, we'll gladly take that check as well. But this has been put on us to pay for and protect our community. I don't think anybody in our community will argue that this is something that we don't need. I know there's people out there that have said, well, what about the cost? And you all have answered those questions. To turn over every rock and to make this a system that is something that we have to have. It's not something that it's, to use Chris's hated word, Cadillac. It's not that. It's just something that we need. It's something that our first responders need. It's something that our public needs to be safe, and that's what we want to pay for. Nothing else. This is not something where we're putting money in a bank account and it's growing tremendously and there's just going to be money to do whatever. That's not the case. We just want to recoup the money that it costs, and that's all we want to recoup. So I want to thank you all for all that you've done, and this, I know, we've had a lot of questions, and you've answered all those questions for us. I wish the public could hear everything. I hope people have tuned in to this, and we'll get an opportunity, if they didn't, to go back and listen to it. But I appreciate you guys so much.
I just want to echo Brian's comments, and also say, you know, we spent time in 2 task force, and at least from my perspective, it was very informative, very discussional, and we had some agreements, some disagreements, but at the very end here, I think we came out what's best for our constituents and the citizens of Madison County. I would also say, thank you to Berea and Richmond for putting your faith in this fiscal court. We hope we lived up to it, but I'm very proud of the job that our employees have done, our partners. I think y'all did an excellent job. I think this is a fair system, and I think it goes to who should be paying more, and it will provide the needed services that we're here to provide for our citizens. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Well, I just kind of echo what they're saying. I think you've done a great job. I feel much better about this proposal than the original one, and I'm happy with, and thank y'all. Thank you for being open to looking at it from different points of view.
And again, I just want to thank the council members and the mayor from Berea being here today. I know that there's council members and probably the Richmond mayor who are also there that have supported this and brought this to us, and it's been fine-tuned. You know, if you've ever had to pick up the phone in the middle of the night, dial 911, you're not going to complain about $15 or $16 or $30. They show up at your house in the middle of the night, you're going to thank every single penny for that. Chris, you know, you guys have, I had some comments before this meeting today about, you know, well, why weren't you doing something before now? You've had 10 years to get ready for this. Well, Wendy, you've been cutting out fluff for a long time. And you guys have been whittling it down for a long time. And you got it down to what we need to be efficient and to service our residents here in Madison County. And we're thankful for that. And we appreciate every single one of you.
Thank you. So, what I'm hearing, nobody, I don't think, but direction you all want us to take is to stay on this schedule that was recommended today, to go back and draft and review the ordinance and the language in the ordinance, which we're just amending we already have an ordinance, so just so as long as everybody understands, we already have a joint, I guess, 911 ordinance that we will be amending, correct, Jill? We don't have to create a new ordinance, we'll just be amending it with this new structure, correct?
Yeah, we will, this ordinance that reflects what you saw today and the new, formula, will supersede or replace the existing ordinance, for the landline fee. And so that'll all be outlined in there, as follows. So it'll just be superseding what already exists. And there is, we didn't mention this, and so I think it's important. So there are, there's been several ordinances over the course of years. I think Robin and I finally got our hands on 6, and so this will supersede all of those. The other portion that's in there is that that landline fee will, in the new ordinance, will be proposed to be eliminated. So it will be sunset, that landline fee, as of January of 2026. So that will we'll finish out 2025 with that, and then that landline fee will go away effective. And so all of that will be reflected in the new ordinance, so that, again, there are communities that keep that in place and they still do that, but the task force did not feel that that was fair, neither did the fiscal court, that you would do both. So that would go away in the new ordinance.
Yeah. Would any of the members, the other elected bodies, are y'all good? Y'all have any questions or anything? Y'all okay? Okay. I just wanted to not putting you on the spot, I just want to give y'all the opportunity to say something if you wanted to. One of the things I want to hit on too that I think is important is that, you know, a lot of people maybe don't pay attention. Citizens don't pay attention to what a lot of times our governments are doing, kind of on a daily basis or weekly basis. And so, you know, I want to hit on the fact that we have had at least, I think, 5. This is 6. We've had 6 public meetings that have been recorded and viewed on Facebook or some kind of media outlet somehow, whether that be between City of Berea's council meeting, Richmond's commission meeting, our joint government meeting that we had back in March. Is that right? Then we've had 2 work sessions, and now we've had a fiscal court meeting. So we've had 6 since March, public meetings discussing this, and it been out on social media in ways for the citizens to review it, to listen, to learn, to educate themselves, to send us questions, calls. I mean, I've gotten a lot. Some of this that you presented on today came from calls that we got in conversations we had with citizens, giving their concern or their viewpoint from it, which I'm thankful. I mean, I'm glad we had some of those conversations because I think it got it to where it is today. So not to belabor anything anymore, I think we'll move on, but we'll plan on a first reading at our next fiscal court meeting of this ordinance, unless something changes between now and then. Okay? Thank you all very much. Great work. Appreciate it. Next, Resolution 2024-41. This is a hazard mitigation grant program project. Chief.
Good morning. Resolution 2024-41. A resolution to approve an amendment agreement between John Wade of 12 Perkins Ashcraft Road, Richmond, Kentucky, and the Madison County Fiscal Court for a hazard mitigation grant program project. This resolution supersedes Resolution 2021-133. Whereas with the assistance of Madison County Emergency Management Agency, Mr. Wade is applying for a grant with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, herein referred to as FEMA, to raise his home above the floodplain level, herein referred to as the project, as originally contemplated and set forth in Resolution 2021-133, passed on December the 14th, 2021. And whereas the terms of the agreement as contemplated by Resolution 2021-133 have changed, and that reimbursement percentage from FEMA and from the Commonwealth of Kentucky have substantially changed, requiring modifications of the parties' agreements as originally contemplated, and whereas as part of the said grant, the terms of the amended agreement state that FEMA will pay 90% of the allowed cost for the construction. The Commonwealth of Kentucky will pay 4.8% of the allowable cost, and Mr. Wade will pay the remaining 5.2% of the allowable cost. And whereas Mr. Wade will also pay incidental costs which are not considered allowable costs as part of the grant. And whereas the county will not be required to contribute any of its funds to the project, and whereas the contemplated grant is a reimbursement grant in which the homeowner must first incur the expense and then submit an invoice, proof of payment, and original receipt to the fiscal court. And whereas Mr. Wade shall be responsible for procuring all materials and services required in connection with the completion of the project prior to seeking reimbursement for same. And whereas Mr. Wade shall comply with all applicable state, federal, and local laws in procuring all materials and services in connection with the project, and to hold the county harmless with regard to any violations of same, as well from any liability in connection with the completion of the project. And whereas the requested funds for this project are not expected to exceed $197,803.00. However, this amount may increase or decrease as the development of the project proceeds. Whereas both parties agree that the terms of the attached amended agreement will further the best interest of both Mr. Wade and the county. Now therefore it be resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve this resolution to supersede Resolution 2021-133 and authorize the judge executive and or his designee to execute the amendment agreement on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Chief. I know that was a lot there to read. It's a mouthful. Y'all have heard Resolution 2024-41. What's the pleasure of the court, please?
Motion to approve Resolution 2024-41, Judge.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
How high is he raising that out?
I'm not sure. We've got to get it. There's a bid process and all it's got to go through. They got to do the site evaluations and all that.
5 foot, 10 foot,
The one below it, I think they raised 12 feet.
There's something in my mind says 8 foot on this
Yeah.
one, but I don't hold me to that.
Yeah, but it's all got to be, we've got to do this before we can get to look at it, to do the engineering process and all that. Then that'll tell how high they're gonna raise it.
All right, any other questions, any other comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Master, excuse me, Master Lockmuller,
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Botkin.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Chief, appreciate it. Next is Resolution 2024-42. This is the Madison County Clerk's motor vehicle and boat bills claim. Clerk Barger, are you reading this one today?
Yes, I am. I'm prepared today.
Good. Go ahead.
A resolution authorizing the payment for the Madison County Clerk's claim of the calculation of motor vehicle and boat bills for 2024. Whereas the Department of Revenue certifies the total number of motor vehicle and boats accounts in Madison County is 100,933 as of January 1st, 2024. And whereas, as required by KRS 133.240, Section 3, Madison County Fiscal Court shall pay the county clerk 15 cents for the calculation of tax bill on each account. Whereas the claim to be paid with the Madison County Fiscal Court is $15,139.95. Now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve the resolution and authorizes the Judge Executive or his designee to execute the same on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Clerk Barger. Members of the court, you've heard Resolution 2024-42.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Clerk Barger, if you mess up on your calculations, does that mean we have to pay you?
Do what? No. Well, this is an amended, we're a little late with this. This is an amended one.
Okay.
The one we got before, we usually do this in April. The one we got before had us at 120-some thousand vehicles, and we got it and said, well, there's no way. And it goes up every year, but it didn't go up
That much.
25,000.
Right, because last year was like 90-something.
Yeah. So it was a new database, a lot of old stuff pulled out, and I told Michelle Wilder, the bookkeeper, I said, just wait a minute. The email are going to start flying here. And they did, so they went back and amended it. We got a correct number. 'Cause
You know, it's
quite a bit
funny.
higher.
It's funny how close that amount is to our population.
Population.
It is always kind of
Yep.
trailed right along with our population, which is interesting. All right, any questions, comments about this? All right, call the roll, please.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is Resolution 2024-43, adoption of the 2024-2025 health insurance renewal. Ryan, good morning.
Good morning, sir. A resolution to adopt 2024-43, a resolution to adopt the 2024-2025 health insurance renewal rates and carriers. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has established a voluntary insurance plan to benefit full-time employees, and whereas the insurance rates are updated annually, and whereas it is the role of the Fiscal Court to determine the rate for the employer portion of the health and life insurance and to select the vendors for optional policies to offer said employees. Now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve to adopt 2024-2025 health insurance renewal rates and carriers as follows. 1. Health insurance, United Healthcare through UMR, United Medical Resources, at the rate of $700 per Fiscal Court employee per month. 2. Basic life and accidental AD&D, accidental death and dismemberment, One America, not to exceed $5.25 per Fiscal Court employee per month. 3. The Benefit Marketing Solutions, the Flexible Spend Account. 4. Dental, Delta Dental. 5. Vision, Guardian. 6. Voluntary Life, One America. 7. Short-Term Disability, One America. 8. Hospital Amenity, Critical Illness and Accidental Policies, WOIA. 9. Primary Care Option, Alternative Health Solutions, LLC, the Blue Mind Clinic. Be it furthermore resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve this resolution and authorize the Judge Executive and/or his designee to execute the same on the behalf of the county.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. Members of the court, y'all have heard Resolution 2024-43. What's the pleasure of the court?
Make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2024-43. Any discussion? I want y'all to know too, we have our broker here with us, Bud Carr, here to be able to answer any kind of questions that you all may have.
We was at this government meeting the other day. Did I understand there's some counties that don't offer health insurance for their employees?
Jill's, I'm not aware of them, but Jill's nodding her head.
There are some particularly poor counties in eastern Kentucky that they just cannot do it. Is that right, Bud?
They could be, there's smaller counties probably, there's just not a big market for under 50 or under 100 employees in a health plan.
Yeah, I was.
That's possible that they've done it, I don't know what their solution is.
And we need to get Bud up to microphone.
But if you don't mind, just come up, just in case.
Yeah, smaller counties possibly, they do that. I'm not aware of any, but if you are, I'm sure that's possible. I don't know what they do for recruiting or retention without health benefits. Yeah, the market is very slim, in those categories.
Any other questions? Anybody
Is there a year-over-year percentage basis here that we should be aware of?
as far as the increase? So this is quasi
Right.
self-insured, I'll say. We have increased our contribution this year by $50, which is going to make our fund a little bit healthier than what it is right now. We haven't raised our contribution levels for some time. But we've been doing this, Bud, since about 17.
2017, 2018 benefit year, July 1st. So, and this is the 8th year coming up. And I think you started out at $575 per employee per month, and now you're up to $700. So you're talking about $125 per employee per month increase over an 8-year period. That's outpaced everything on that. You used to have more funds in your health fund. We call it reserves, and that's kind of shrinking a little bit. So that's why I think it's a good idea. We gave them a couple of recommendations. They choose what they want, they modify, or they say this doesn't work for us. And they're just trying to increase the reserves for the future.
And it's our money,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's,
Yeah, it doesn't
but-
go to the carrier.
but,
I haven't been on here very long, but I think I've been impressed with the job that we do with our health care and how we try to take care of our employees, and the fact that we're doing it the way we're doing it. It's probably one of the outliers in the Commonwealth. I don't imagine there's many people that do it this way, but I think we're doing a great job.
Yep. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just had a question. But
Sure.
can you tell us, are there any differences in the coverage between this and last year's?
No, the benefits have remained the same for quite a few years. There is one difference, and that's on your HDHP plan, your HSA plan, which about half the employees are on that, not quite half, but 45% of them are. It's an IRS guideline that the lowest deductible you can have, an embedded deductible, is $3,200. So you were at $3,000, so you have to go up to $3,200 for a single on that HDHP plan only. And that's an IRS regulation. There's nothing we can do about that.
No, just for the court's knowledge, we are considering, which we're gonna go back and run the numbers, but on the employee contribution on the higher plans, we are considering an increase on those. That's not part of this resolution because it's not a financial obligation to the county, right? But a lot of our claims right now are coming out of the PPO plan, which is the higher plan, which they already contribute to anyway. Yep. So I kind of call it a low plan and a high plan. So our low plan is the HSA, and the high plan is Bud, is that correct? PPO?
Yeah.
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 Can you tell us what you think that increase will be?
I think not right now. I mean, I can't. I can't right now.
We get the opportunity to look at that.
We can, yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other questions? We do have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2024-43. Call the roll.
Master
Thanks,
Bucking,
Bud.
Thank you, guys.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Lockmuller,
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. Jill, you gonna read this? You want me to read it?
I can.
Scott, y'all think about Scott. He's down in his back, real bad. He couldn't be here this morning, so maybe we'll tag team. Jill, I think
I'll do the
he's
first one, you'll do the second one.
second one. Okay, sounds great. So our next one is resolution 2024-44. It's a waste tire grant funds application. Jill.
Yes, this is a resolution for the application and administration of Kentucky Division of Waste Management Waste Tire Grant Funds. Whereas the Kentucky Division of Waste Management Waste Tire Grant Fund allows eligible communities to apply for assistance to recycle or dispose of waste tires. And whereas the maximum amount of the Kentucky Waste Tire grant funding available to individual counties is $4,000. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court desires to make an application for these waste tire grant funds in the amount of $4,000 to be expended during the grant period of July 1, 2024 through June 30th of 2025. And whereas there is no local match required. Now therefore be it resolved on this 14th day of May 2024 by Madison County, Kentucky, the judge executive and/or his designee is hereby authorized to make the application for these funds, and if the application is successful, to enter into an agreement with the Kentucky Division of Waste Management to administer these grant funds, to execute any documents which are deemed necessary to facilitate and administer the award, and act as the authorized correspondent for the above referenced project.
Thank you,
Motion to approve
Jill.
Resolution 2024-44, Judge.
Second.
Thank you all very much. Any questions, any comments?
It's a good program. This keeps
Very much.
tires off the side of the road, keeps them out of the ditches, keeps them out of the hollers. It's just a good program. We're very thankful that we can get this money.
And one thing to add to this too is I think this year's the state's tire amnesty year. You know, they do it every 3 years. So on top, not only with this, but we'll have a big one. Should be in the fall. I think there's a meeting coming up that they're going to be discussing that here pretty soon to schedule a time and a date. Yeah, late summer, early fall. So
Just to echo what Tom said, very thankful to have this program in our community. It does a great deal.
any other comments, questions? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Bakker?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is Resolution 2024-45. This is County Road Aid Cooperative Agreement for fiscal year 2025. A resolution adopting and approving the execution of a County Road Aid Co-op Program contract between the Madison County Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024, as provided in the Kentucky Revised Statutes, and accepting all roads and streets referred to therein as being a part of the county road system. Whereas the fiscal court does hereby accept all roads and streets referred to in said contract as being a part of the county road system, and whereas the fiscal court does hereby ratify and adopt all statements, representations, warranties, covenants, and agreements contained in said contract, and does hereby accept said contract, and by such acceptance agrees to all the terms and conditions therein stated, which is attached here to this resolution. Now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve this resolution and authorizes the judge executive and/or his designee to execute same on behalf of the county. What is the pleasure of the court?
So moved. You're a
Second.
good reader there, buddy. You just spitting them words out.
Thanks for the kind words, Billy Ray. So I do have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2024-45. Any discussion?
So this gives us about almost $1.7 million, Judge. That's pretty good.
Yeah, just remember, and Tom, you know, when we started together 10 years ago, I guess this will be our 10th agreement together, right? I believe it was like 1.3, you know, and all this numbers dictated off the fuels tax. And so as fuel prices go up, you know, we get more money. If fuel prices are down, we get less money. Do remember, though, that we do participate in the emergency program. At 3% of this total right here actually gets held at the state transportation cabinet. And so our number technically is going to be in our budget. I thought it was in here.
989.
I didn't do the math. No, the 989, Tom, is our 60%. So when they send us our money, we get, I think, 60% kind of at the beginning of our year. Then I think we get maybe it's 35%. Let's see, 30. Then we get 30%, and then that leaves 10% at the end of the year to make sure that the fuel tax estimates are accurate. But it'd be 3% less than 1.7 million, which I'm guessing is going to be around $51,000.
And you know, they implemented this EV tax and hybrid tax, and that should bump up.
Should help a little.
Yeah.
Yep. Any other questions or comments or anything there? All right, hearing none, we do have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2024-45. Call the roll.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Bakker?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thank you all very much. Chief, we have Resolution 2024-46. This is the Madison County Fire Department and Clark County Fire Department mutual aid.
Resolution 2024-46. The resolution authorizing memorandum of agreement between the Madison County Fiscal Court, Madison County Fire Department, MCFD, and the Clark County Fiscal Court, Clark County Fire Department, CCFD, to secure mutual aid and fire service. Whereas MCFD and CCFD wish to enter into a memorandum of agreement, MOA, to secure for each the benefits of mutual aid and fire protection, the protection of life and property from fire and rescue. Whereas each party has the power, control, and responsibility to provide fire and rescue service within their respective boundary, and whereas both parties do hereby agree to the terms set forth in the attached MOA. Now therefore it be resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve to enter into this MOA and authorize the judge executive and or his designee to negotiate and execute contracts on behalf of the county.
Motion approves resolution 2024-46, Judge.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Hey, Chief, we saw in the packet here the letter from Chief Asbury where you supported them, and we certainly appreciate that. We know that they work close with us, you work close with them, and that's a good thing.
Yep.
So we appreciate that.
Appreciate the support from you all allowing us to do that.
Chief, was this agreement here, was this something that we hadn't had in place before? And
To my knowledge, we've never had an agreement with Clark County.
Gotcha. Nothing changed to spur this agreement, or it's just
We had a
common sense?
couple calls and they've called us for assistance.
Yeah.
And we've been doing some training together, some water training stuff on the river, since we both cover the area of Boonesboro, around the Clays Ferry there, and back up to Estill County where they join. And we decided we probably need to put something in place.
Yeah, that's good. Appreciate it.
That came,
Yeah, we've always had a little bit of I mean, it's, I guess gentlemen's agreement's never been on paper, but you know, we're always gonna
We're gonna
assist
go
our,
if they call,
they
we were
need
gonna
us,
go.
so they're
We
gonna
just
do the
wanted
same
something.
thing. But did they come help us during the mulch fire? I know there were
they
several.
They were one of them that came.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
They were down there on the river sweep too on the cleanup.
That's coming up, by the
Yep.
way. I think it's in my notes today.
I think it's a great opportunity anytime we can work with our partners around to us, because I mean, it's, you know, it's mutually beneficial to all of us. Thank you.
Yep.
Tom, were you gonna say? I think
No.
I cut you off.
I was just gonna ask him about the mulch fire. I thought they came to
Yeah.
that.
Mhm. Yeah, and you all saw the thank you letter, so that's what you were referring to, right? It was in, yeah, so that's good, you know, always glad to help and always appreciate when they can help us too, so.
Good.
So if no more discussion, call the roll.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Buckin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Hey, thanks, Chief, appreciate it. All right, next is a continued Madison County Detention Center food service management discussion. Just to get everybody up to date, the last fiscal court meeting, we had a conversation, presentation about food service. Had two different proposals. We didn't. The court wanted me to go back and look at some stuff. I think Steve, I think you've had some conversation with Kelwell. So if you can just update the fiscal court on where we're at right now, and then we'll just have a conversation. I don't think we have anything to vote on today because we don't know the direction you all want to go in as a court. And so we'll just have a discussion today and get some guidance on the direction we need to go. And then we'll bring back whatever we need to bring back to the next fiscal court for actually a vote. So, Steve.
Okay, yeah. Reviewing we did put this out for bid. The bids came back with two contractors that were interested. One is our existing contractor is Kelwell, and their bid, and this is a sliding scale on their per meal price, and that came back at $1.48. The other bid was from a company called Tiger. It's a company we've done business with for years with our commissary accounts, and they also furnish food service in the correctional centers, and their bid came back at $1.54. This on their sliding scale was for an average of 300 inmates this morning, and we had 326 inmates in-house this morning. A little of past business with Kelwell. We've had Kelwell for many, many years in the jail. Yes, we've had some issues with them, and they've had some issues with us. It's a struggling partnership, and yes, we work many inmates in the jail kitchen, and it's under the Kelwell supervision. However, we do have staff go in and out of the kitchen every day. I do remind everybody, and I don't want to paint a really ugly picture, but our jail kitchen is 35 years old and was designed for 106 to provide a service to 160 inmates. We got 320 something in the house this morning. So on a good day, that's a chaotic atmosphere. And inmates are inmates. They're going to play their games and they're going to steal food. And half of the reason that they want to either sell and go to work in the kitchen is just so they can get a little extra food and get out of the cell and get a little exercise and fresh air. It's always a struggle. Kelwell has truly been a good partner in that anytime I bring up an issue to them, they deal with it. And the same with us. If they have equipment that's broke, then this morning we just had our tilt skillets repaired again. I was afraid we were going to have to buy a new one at about $11,000 or $12,000, but we put another Band-Aid on it, and hopefully it'll get us down the road for a little piece. But we have had a very good relationship with Kelwell. They're very responsive. My only issue really with them, or my biggest issue, is that their issues are reoccurring. They will immediately get on an issue if I bring it up to them. If the food presentation doesn't suit me, if the calorie count is low. I have multiple grievances filed by the inmates about the food, and we've had beans for 6 days in a row or whatever the issue happens to be. Kelwell will immediately deal with it, but about 2 or 3 weeks later, and seems like we're dealing with it again. So with that said, I do recommend that the contract go to Tiger. Tiger's a company we've done business with for many years, and I've done a lot of research on their food contracts, and every jail that I talked to was extremely pleased with their food service operation. So with that, Judge, and I also, just information for the court, I don't have a checkbook. I live out of your checkbook. I do know that the Tiger is a little more expensive. I understand the dollars are hard to come by. I assure the court that whatever your decision is, that I support it, and I will work with that company the very best so that we bring the product to the inmates and to the county that we need.
Thank you, Steve. So y'all have heard Steve's update. We'll open it up for discussion and direction of how you all would like us to go.
So, Judge, we tasked you at the last court to meet with Kelwell and just ask them some questions and this, that, and other. But anyway, so I guess it'd probably be fair for us to have an update on what you found out from your meeting with them.
Okay. I did sit down with them. There were several that came to a meeting a few weeks ago. We did take some notes, and Steve hit on some of these. I probably got a few more details in them, but I think Kelwell made it very clear. I think Tom, when he was here and reported to you all, that Kelwell wanted us to bid it. You know, it kind of maybe came across maybe in a way of they didn't want the work, right? They were saying bid it, they didn't want it. But that was not the case. They did want it. They did say bid it because they were losing so much money in food theft at our detention center. They made some comments that on an average, their shrinkage, they call it shrinkage, their shrinkage is average of a 5% loss. And at our jail is 35 and 40%. They talked about, you know, I guess they have cameras in there and video of, you know, inmates going in unsupervised, taking food, making sandwiches at night. They referred to one situation where 2 different inmates stuffed 5 pounds of cheese down each pant leg and went back to their cell. So, I mean, stole 10 pounds of cheese. Talked about a lot of officers and inmates are taking food or eating food, and not eating what, I guess it's kind of a standard, Steve, you talk to this more than I can, but I guess it's kind of a standard that officers or employees of the jail can eat, from the kitchen, but they normally eat what is prepared, not any kind of special. And I think there's a lot of specialty, maybe specialty food being done.
Judge, if I might,
Sure.
there has been reoccurring issues. Yes, the staff can eat a meal from the kitchen every day, and that's, our staff do not take lunch breaks, so it's a lot easier and cheaper on the county to furnish a $1.50 meal than it
Yeah.
is to cover a 30-minute lunch. But they take advantage of that occasionally, and I have to reel them in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And KOL was not speaking bad about that at all. I mean, I don't want it to paint, I don't want to paint a false picture here. They were just saying that normally they eat what is being prepared that day, not specialty meals, right? But I think there's a lot of specialty. Hey, I would like they're fixing bacon and they want a sausage biscuit, right? So they're fixing sausage for that officer instead of it's a bacon biscuit or whatever. I'm just using that as an example. That's not what they gave, but they talked also about this scratch kitchen that was in the proposal for Tiger. Well, I think maybe it's equivalent to a scratch kitchen that they offer. A Kelwell Cafe, which is very similar to what Tiger is offering in what they're calling the scratch kitchen, that their commissions are higher. Also, they talked about commissary. Tiger Commissary is our commissary provider now. Kelwell is our kitchen food provider, but they also have a commissary as well. They talked like that they would get bigger commissions back to the county, or to commissaries, really, Steve's. I don't want to get into the commissary thing. I'm just telling you what we talked about, okay? The commissary is really more Steve's as an elected official. KOL does not charge for county for refire or recooking meals. I think there was something talked about in maybe our meeting about there was raw chicken cooked at KOL. Well, there couldn't be raw chicken cooked because all their food is pre-cooked. So if they got a chicken patty that maybe did not get warmed up all the way, that it wasn't, they were serving raw chicken because it's, again, pre-cooked patties is what they're cooking. They said that they will always eat the food costs for any mistakes that they make. That maybe that was, and I'm trying to remember some of this stuff. Maybe that was perceived that if they mess up on the food and then they're not billing for 600 meals, they only bill for 300. It said if food security and theft is under control, they will revisit and lessen their price. They did talk about that. That the only reason that they're going up on their price is because of their having so much theft of their food, and it's just not profitable. But they said,
if I could, just on that point, we have had some issues. We had with our energy project last year, we had new coolers put in the kitchen and a new one outside. Those locking mechanism, we have had some issues with that, and we just upgraded those to something that I don't think the inmates can beat.
okay, all right. Kelwell is a Kentucky-based company. They're 48 jails. They provide food service, and 39 they provide commissary in. So they have a total there. They do want to continue to provide Madison County, but they don't want to be somewhere that they are not wanted. Kelwell would like to put locks on the food service items. This is a practice in all other facilities. Kelwell would like a 30-day out if their staff is mistreated or not respected. So that is a pretty good, I think, overview of what I'm. I think I've pretty much hit on everything, Tom. I hope that answers your questions.
So, I guess follow up to that, Judge, and Steve, I guess it's your question. I'm not sure what a scratch kitchen is. Is that something
Scratch kitchen
that would
is
benefit us?
It benefits the jail, and then it's basically part of their commissary operation, but they do it out of the kitchen where an inmate can order a chicken sandwich or french fries or whatever, and that will be charged just like a commissary item.
So is that a plus or a minus to us?
It's a plus,
Can they,
and they both provide it, and we will do that with whomever the company is.
Well, it's a plus, I'll say this, it's a plus to the commissary.
Yes.
It's a plus to the jail. We wouldn't see any benefit from that as a fiscal court. It's not lessening our cost or anything like that, but it does
No.
give, it does give the commissary more funds, which they do spend things on the jail. So, I mean, you don't necessarily see it, right?
Right.
I mean, it's hard for us
No.
to quantify.
We absorb
that.
other costs with it.
Yeah. It's hard for us to see it or quantify it.
I was just thinking about the contract. I didn't see that in the contract per se. When I-
No, that would actually have, technically, that's part of the commissary contract.
All right, also saw that part of the issue from that one court was the 300 meal double charge. So Tom told us specifically that in some cases we were being double charged for 300 meals. And he said it's not true. That's what they told him. I'm trying to find out which side of the fence are we on. I don't know where I need to go with this. Are we being double charged for meals?
No, not that I'm aware of, Tom.
Okay.
Caldwell said no.
All right.
I mean, they're I can't. Caldwell does not charge the county for refire or recooking meals. However, that is not ever going to be the case that a chicken breast is undercooked because they only use pre-cooked patties.
Right. So
Yeah.
still, I mean, we were told that we were being double charged when Tom told us.
Yes.
But that's actually not the case. I guess the thing about the locks on the cabinets is that, and of course you just talked about the freezer updates.
Yes.
Is that the only thing that needs locking? I mean, can we not lock stuff?
There is a dry storage room in the kitchen that has a lot of food storage, and everything else that's a commodity or something that the inmates or staff would want access to is in the coolers. And they have been secured, and Kelwell and myself have the only key.
And then the last thing that I saw that I didn't see in the contract, but it's something I've thought about, regardless of which way we go with it, is a penalty in the contract. So there's no penalties in the contract at all if there's poor performance or if there's some issue that you've talked to them about that you have to re-talk to them about in a month or 2 months. I personally feel like, regardless of who it is, you should have a way financially to, if you can't get it done with just a communications back and forth, be it verbal or written, then there ought to be something in the contract that says, hey, you're not performing to a standard that you agreed to perform to. There needs to be a penalty for that. That's my own personal opinion.
I don't recall the specific language of the contract, Tom. We can look at adding that if it's not in it.
Well, one thing I think that they want added in it is 30-day out. So, I mean, if
I think that exists now, Judge. Maybe it's a
It's a
60-day out.
it's 60 right now, but that, I mean,
Okay.
if you add 30 days, I mean, that's a little bit of a recourse. If you're not happy, you give them 30 days notice and, you know, get somebody else if they're not performing properly. I mean,
Yeah, the only
but
problem.
open to any suggestions as far as that goes, Tom, as far as in the contract that we, now this contract, just so everybody knows, this contract's with the fiscal court. That would be me signing it. This contract's not with Steve.
Right.
And so I'll be the one that'll be signing this contract. So anything that you all would like me to propose to them or get added to the contract, to be glad to do it. And we did talk about in our meeting that we had about talking about locks on the doors that you know, their words were that let me find it here. Caldwell would like to put locks on all food service items. This is the practice in all other facilities. There was something in here that there's something in here that we took a note on. It said leadership refuses to lock the kitchen or allow Caldwell to lock pantries or freezers, etc. So it sounds like that's all been handled for now. But they did talk about maybe having that in the contract as well, of being able to lock the pantries and the food, and it being under their key in a sense, you know. So
It
sounds like
it is, and I
sounds
don't
like
have
you
a
are.
problem if that's in the contract.
Yeah. So
So if those things have been mitigated and the things that I've asked questions about have all been taken care of, then this brings me back to the same point that we were at 2 weeks ago. I don't know why we should pay $35,000 more to a different contractor. That's my only say on that.
okay.
But that's the same logic you would use if it was any contract, is that, you know, if they met the standard or met what we've asked for, and that's the cheaper price, that's the way we should go.
Yeah, well, I mean, me personally, I think we have an obligation based on the facts, based on the scoring, and based on the price. I mean, I think we really have an obligation to go with Caldwell. I think that if you really, I didn't ask Jenny, I've not asked Brooke this question, but I think there's probably something in probably law, KRS law, talking about, you know, when the score is good and the price is good, and I mean, somebody could maybe come back on us if we didn't go with them, you know.
Judge, I think you're right, and I would agree with you on that. Having come from the business world, it looks like to me there's two issues that we have to deal with here, and that is, there seems to not be good communications. That can always be improved. Steve and his staff and Kidwell can do better communications, and communicate more often about the good, the bad, and what's going on. The second piece would be execution, and it looks like to me that we have a dual execution issue, in the sense that maybe Kidwell hasn't performed at some points in times, but for us to have all of our food that was wide open for anybody to get to was an execution problem on our part. So now it looks like we've got that satisfied. So as long as we communicate with our vendor per the bid that we got, and that when we have execution issues, we work with people to do a better job executing, then this thing should be okay going forward.
Yeah.
So I'm concurrent with the low bid.
So is that,
Well, I say go with a little bit.
all right, so what we'll be doing is just so everybody's on the same page, then we're gonna be, we will be creating a resolution for next court that would give Caldwell this bid. We'll draft it up, because I don't have one right now. You know, their recommendation before was Tiger, and so we turned that one down. So now we will be drafting a similar, I mean, might have to change some of the language, because obviously Steve's recommendation is not Caldwell, it's still Tiger. So we will be creating a resolution to give it to Caldwell, if that's the direction you all want me to go.
Well, and I think that on that, based with the contract, Steve should be part of that, so that we get the contract with the wording that we want in the contract.
Okay. So what we'll do. All right. Thank you all. Let's see, personnel. Ryan.
I bring forth before the court the personnel to be approved.
Make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Master Buchan?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thank you, Ryan. Next is our employee spotlight, I believe.
Yes, sir. The employee spotlight. I bring forth before the court today the employee spotlight for Leah Johnston. She works down at the animal shelter as part of the administration. And what it was said about Leah is Leah spearheaded the spring 2024 adoption Potty and Knock It Out of the Park. Her dedication, combined with her consistent enthusiasm for her job and the animals at the shelter, has greatly improved the environment of the shelter and contributed to its success. Her contribution to the animal shelter is priceless. Leah has taken on more during the time of which there has been not a director, to aid in the running of the shelter. To have a team member like Leah means long-term success, added support. She puts 100% in each thing she does. I know having the initiative in our team ensures that the best care for our animals and community, as her heart drives her motion. Leah is hands down one of the best team members I've ever had the pleasure of working with, and she's been with us since 2022. And I will say, when we did lose Katie and we just had Leah and Bobby there for a while, that's really what kept our animal shelter going. So this is a really a good one, Judge.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good feedback from what she put together at her Saturday a few weeks ago. So thanks for referring to that. What was it? What they call it? Is it Adoption Day? Is that what it was? Yeah, Party. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that's cute. But they actually set up vendors and everything. I mean, it was a full-fledged. They had other vendors and people there. It was a good event at the mall. So we appreciate Leah a lot. Thank you, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
All right, next, the judge's report. Try to make this fairly quick. We kind of had a long court today, but do have a few announcements. Got a lot going on in the community. Berea College Forestry Outreach Center is hosting a Summer Fest at the Pinnacles on Saturday, May 18th. That'll be this coming Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Visit their Facebook page for more information. Madison County Health Department is hosting a drive-through rabies vaccination clinic at the Berea Health Department location on Saturday, May 18th from 10 a.m. to noon. Vaccines are $10 per vaccination, cash only. All animals must be in a crate or on a leash. Visit their Facebook page for more information. Richmond Parks and Recreation is hosting a Kids to Parks Day on Saturday, May 18th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Lake Reba Park near Paradise Cove Aquatic Center. Visit their Facebook page for a list of activities and more information. Join the Madison County Fiscal Court and the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. Master, y'all might want to write this down, but I think it should be on your calendars already. But join the Madison County Fiscal Court and the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources for a ribbon cutting at Will Green Lake on Thursday, May 30th at 10 a.m. We are celebrating the completion of the construction project for the boat ramp, boat trailer parking area, courtesy dock, and kayak launch at Will Green Lake. So, man, it's fantastic out there. If nobody's been out there, it's getting a lot of use. We've got a lot of positive feedback, and so really proud of that project that we partnered with Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. And man, what a great state agency. They were a blessing to work with. Richmond Chamber of Commerce is hosting a Dream Big Leadership Luncheon featuring EKU men's head basketball coach A.W. Hamilton on Friday, May 31st at noon at the EKU Perkins Building. There will also be a special graduation presentation honoring Leadership Madison County Class of 2024. Visit the Richmond Chamber website to purchase tickets. Volunteers, I think you mentioned this earlier, Billy Ray. Volunteers are needed to the Kentucky River Sweep at Boonesboro State Park on Saturday, June 8th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. T-shirts and lunch will be provided for volunteers. This is a great opportunity to volunteer and keep our Kentucky River clean. Please call 859-624-4739 for more information. Please share that out. Last year it was there. I think Clark County Fire Department and our Madison County Fire Department, we bring our rescue boat down, and there was a little bit of participation, but we really need more participation in that to come out and to help keep our Kentucky River clean.
Well, Steve, they had inmates down there too doing some work, and that was really good to have those guys doing that.
Yeah, I think our solid waste.
A lot of fun.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not, but it's good to do it. I think our solid waste truck is down there, maybe. Some of our solid waste group, road department guys, yeah.
They have the boats and stuff down there too for people to go up and down places we can't get to by foot.
Mm-hmm. So it is a good done by all. Everybody comes together, so it is a good event. And then Madison County government and its related offices will be closed Monday, May 27th for Memorial Day holiday. Offices will reopen on Tuesday, May 28th. At 10 a.m. And I do want to make one announcement that's not on here. We had a new business. It's not new to Madison County, but it's new out in the county with Kentucky Boats. Kentucky Boats built a new building out there off Exit 95 where the old BP and McDonald's is, and they're actually having a county open house this weekend as a new business in the county. And so anybody that's out and about out there on Saturday, feel free to stop by and see their new business operation. That's the end of my report. Moving on to comments from magistrates. Steve.
Not much, Judge. I do want to give a shout out to Brandon McIntosh and the Kentucky State Transportation Department, 07 District Office. We had a situation at Clay Lane and 25 where if you came out Clay Lane, we're going to turn south on 25. It was a very bad blind spot due to growth of trees and whatever, and talked with Brandon, and within a reasonable amount of time, they got out there and corrected that, and I've had several calls back to me thanking me, and I said, no, let's thank the district office. I had little to do with it other than to relay it, but I want to thank them for that. I'm done.
Thank you, buddy. Billy Ray.
You know, last week I was out in Washington State for a nuclear conference. Nuclear is, you know, the country wants to triple the amount of nuclear energy that we're currently producing by 2050. And the purpose of nuclear is it's clean, it's reliable, it's safe. And Kentucky's very interested in increasing nuclear footprint as well. And there were a few Kentuckians out there, some legislation that's just recently been passed. And so I just wanted to make sure that we know what's the lay of the land going forward, and being able to increase our nuclear footprint in the state of Kentucky. But it's a long-term process. If we decided today we wanted to get in the nuclear business, and when I say nuclear, that's more than just nuclear power. You can get into fuel enrichment. There's several parts of the preparing fuel. There's manufacturing of nuclear components for small modular reactors. So there's a lot of opportunities in nuclear, and I'm still digesting this information, and that's about all I'm going to say about it right now. But other than, you know, nuclear is good.
If you start going bald, we'll know why.
What happened to you?
Yeah. Thinking too much. Tom.
That's what happened to me, Judge. I started doing a little research on this back years ago. You see the effects. But to Billy Ray's point, it's not like it's not what he's talking about is not like 3 Mile Island, these big stacked reactors. They're now building micro reactors that are very efficient. I think there's only one contract, to the best of my knowledge. Of course, Billy has got the most current information in the United States, and that contractor is building reactors for the Navy. So, but anyway, that's something that's coming, and it needs to come. He's absolutely correct about that. So we appreciate you doing that, Billy Ray. I wanted to thank Robin's here, Elizabeth. I wanted to thank Robin and Elizabeth for helping me. I short fuse them all the time about wanting to go to some kind of conference or this or that and the other, and they're always very efficient in taking care of that and getting back to me. And I know that's interrupting their time when they're doing that, but I certainly appreciate their assistance on that. Also, Scott's not here, but I want to thank him because I've gotten in an unfortunate habit here of tying up his Friday for a couple hours, because I know he didn't have staff. He's got staff, but he didn't have people there. But he'll go out with me on Friday. We'll go look at projects and some things that folks have called me on during the week. And so I appreciate, Scott, you being able to do that and take your time. I appreciate even more how responsive he is to going out and then fixing those problems. So there's a lot to that.
Well, I guarantee you he's watching.
I appreciate that. So
he's at home, take it easy. I guarantee he's watching.
Wherever that camera's at, I appreciate you, buddy. And also to follow up there with what Steve was saying, I talked to Brandon there a couple times there over some line of sight issues, and he called me back there yesterday. I didn't get to talk to him, but he called me back yesterday to say that those had been taken care of, and I appreciate the responsiveness there too. Now, if we can just get Barnes Mill and Bucky's Bridges taken care of, I'll be happier than a pig in slop. If anyone needs me, most important thing, I've got my police tie on here. This is Police Week, so Sheriff, we appreciate everything that you and your deputies do for us. Same thing with Chief Hayes, Brea Police Department, Rodney Richardson over at Richmond. We appreciate everything the law enforcement does for us here in Madison County, and I just want to not go by without thanking those individuals.
Thank
If
you, Tom.
anybody needs me, Judge, they can reach me at 200-9765.
Appreciate it. Brian?
Tom stole my thunder. I was gonna mention, Law Enforcement Week. We do appreciate all of our law enforcement and what they do, first responders as well, and, all that they do in their community. Don't wanna forget that. Herndon Lane project is done. I'm glad that that's back open. I think it's gonna be a much safer intersection there, and, we're gonna work on more improvements as money comes in, and that's kind of the key. Last but not least, go vote. Election's coming up. I know that there's not terribly many things on the ballot in the primary, but go and vote and make your voice heard and participate in the process. And other than that, Judge, I'm just glad to be here.
Glad you're here, buddy. Counselor, you got anything?
I don't, Judge. Thank you.
Kenny?
Yeah, I was gonna bring up, early voting starts Thursday, 8 o'clock, 8 to 4. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday's early voting, and then election days, of course, 6 to 6 on Tuesday. All of our, we've got a location down here, new location at the, I about messed up. Almost called it the vocational school.
It's Ignite.
Chris Clark does not appreciate that.
It's Ignite Academy.
The Career Development Center.
Yeah.
Ignite South.
Mm-hmm.
So we've expanded locations. We've got a new location in Richmond at the Active Living Center, right there past the bowling alley off of Barnes Mill. So, but we're like Brian said, it's a pretty thin ballot.
Oh, you did the Senior Citizen Center. Used to be the Appalachian College Association.
Active Living Center.
Active Living Center.
Yeah.
They've changed the name.
Yes, they have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not the old folks home or senior.
No.
Not seniors. Those are active people living.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
And that's where this center they go to.
Yeah, that's a good spot to have it. I never thought about
But
it.
it is, yeah, and it's a great spot to vote. Good
Yeah.
parking lot,
Yeah.
good room, a lot of.
It's flat, it's
Plenty of
level.
room, room to line up inside. So yeah, we're excited about it. It's just hard, not many people know it's there.
Right.
So we're just gonna have to keep hammering it, because we needed something on that end of town. But yeah, please get out and vote. We're looking, I think if we hit 15%, we're flying. Really do. There's just not much on the ballot. We've only had about 400 and some request mail absentee ballots, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing out of 76,000 registered voters. I mean, that's pretty thin.
Sounds good. Sheriff, you got anything?
Yes, sir. I just want to say to the court, quarterly financial report that we started off with, I think it's in good shape. I think everybody has a copy of it. The only concerns I have in that is something that's kind of out of everybody's control, and that's our fuel line item as well as our vehicle maintenance. We're still waiting on our new cars to come in. When that process is slowed, we still have vehicles out on the road that need attention. We've got some with blown engines, different things that we're gonna try to repair and salvage. Our court security is traveling probably more now than they have in a while. We're still 4 short as deputies, 2 short in court security. However, in June, we're gonna have 2 in court security that's gonna be going through the academy, and hopefully we'll have them out around the fall of the year, first of the year. We have one gentleman that haven't spoken to you yet, or Robin yet, but we're gonna have to hopefully have a swear-in around the 1st of June. It's a former Metro officer that's gonna be transferring over. So we're happy about that. So we'll only be 1 short once we get the 2 in the academy and get this gentleman sworn in. Speaking of first responders, law enforcement appreciation, I would like to commend one of our officers over the last couple of weeks, since I've reported to you all some of the things that's been done. They've been very extremely busy as usual, but we've had several investigations and arrests that's been very interesting. I won't go into, but one of them was Shane Johnson was working, received a call of a motorist assist on 421 in that area. It was a stalled vehicle out in the roadway. He went there, started assisting. Got a gut feeling, I think there was an infant that was in the vehicle, no car seat, no nothing, which flags started going off. In the time that he was there, he had a gut feeling, so he ran the VIN number on this vehicle. The VIN number come back stolen out of Virginia. The lady had kidnapped that child. You know, just good police work, good gut feelings, acting on those. You know, that's kind of employees that we have not only in our agency but across the county. And you know, I don't know what would have happened if that child hadn't been recovered at that time and that day, because it was also out of Virginia where it was missing. But I just want to give a heads up to the court on some of the work that our people have been doing over the last few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sheriff, too, for y'all have cleared out the exit ramps. Appreciate that. I know that's a pain in the rear sometimes, but it's appreciated by our citizens, and it's very dangerous when these tractor trailers are parking on our exit ramps and all over the place.
What surprises me a lot is the damage that those people do, knocking signs down, markers,
Yep.
you know, just
The right-of-ways
off
and
every
trash.
day.
I mean, it.
Repair those.
Yeah, it's shameful. It really is. Yeah. So, and I think there was a bad accident off one of our exits not long ago where one was asleep and another one ran in behind them or something, wasn't there? Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, appreciate that. Steve, do you have anything else?
Very quickly, I'd just like to report last week was National Correctional Workers Week. We had a cookout in the Sallyport Friday. We had staff that stayed up all night and cooked some brisket and pork and chicken, and many of you came over and shared that with us. Just want to shout out to our staff. We have a wonderful staff, and I am so proud of them. Glad to be a part of that team. Tomorrow we will have a staff meeting and recognize some people that we didn't get to do last week. Employee of the Year, Employee of the Quarter, and a few special act awards. Not going to mention any names. I don't want to spoil the surprise tomorrow. That's
Good.
all I have.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you for inviting us to that, Steve, also. And of course, I wasn't able to come, but I have relayed my appreciation to you men over there for that. So we appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks, Tom.
All right. Department heads. Anybody else need to address the court? All right, any audience comments? Anybody from the audience? Do we have any Facebook? No questions? All right. Yeah. All right. Then I need a motion and a second to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. Call the roll.
Pastor Combs? Yes. Master Lockmiller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Buckley?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next meeting will be May 28, 2024. It'll be in Richmond. It'll be at the City Hall chambers there, the City Commission, Richmond City Commission. Again, May 28, 2024, back in Richmond at 9:30 a.m. I need a motion to second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Master Lockmiller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Buckley?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thank you all. Appreciate everybody being here.